back, guys, to another episode of Heritage Gold Rush. I know it's been a minute since my last video. I've been pretty busy, been doing a lot of detecting, prospecting, looking at new ground. Some of the areas I've been going to, I don't really want to put on video for the obvious reasons. People can tend to figure out where you're at, especially if they know the ground or the general geology of the area. So tonight I should say, I'm going to be making a video that's going over some new toys that I got. I just recently picked up all three of the Coiltek coils for the MINELAB SDC 2300. So that is the 10x5, and this is the Gold Extreme series. So the 10x5, then they have the 11-inch round, and then they have the 14x9. And these are all mono coils. They are authorized by MINELAB, so any alteration you have to make to the SDC to get these on there will not void your warranty with MINELAB, so just a heads up on that. And then I've got the Coiltek Adapter kit, which is going to allow me to adapt the bunny ear style coil mount to the SDC style, which is obviously this little knuckle thing. So something I should note is the 10x5 is going to be the most sensitive of the coils, right? You're obviously going to be sacrificing a little bit of depth when compared to the 8-inch stock coil that comes with the SDC, but it's going to be highly sensitive. And I've heard nothing but raving reviews about the improvement in sensitivity on this coil in particular. The next one is the 11-inch, which obviously is going to give you greater depth, but at the cost of some of the sensitivity. Some of the other videos I've seen coming out of Australia didn't leave me feeling too excited about this one. One of the videos, the guy was barely being able to pick up like a 0.8 of a gram nugget at like 4 or 5 inches away from the coil, which is a little disconcerting, but you know, that's Australia, and they were doing an air test. So obviously California has some very mineralized ground. So, you know, I'm going to get out there and try it out anyways, and we'll see how it works. And then the final one, which was the 14x9, this one is actually the best one in the series for depth and sensitivity. As you can imagine, because it's 9 inches wide, it's still going to have sensitivity akin to what the 8-inch round stock coil would be, but it's 14 inches long, so you're going to get that increased depth. And obviously, because it's a larger coil, you're going to get a little more coverage with each swing, which is nice. So I'm going to show you guys how to disassemble the stock coil off the SDC, mount the adapter kit and the new coil. Tomorrow I'm going to be going up to my claim, which is an old hydraulic pit. Not a lot of tight spaces. Obviously the 10x5 would be ideal for tight spaces where depth isn't so much of an issue, but where I'm going tomorrow, hydraulic pit, the targets in the past have been right on the threshold or just outside of the zone of detection for the 8-inch stock coil. So I'm excited to try to get this bigger coil and get that increased depth, as well as that maintaining that same sensitivity. So I will be including some footage tomorrow of me detecting with the 14x9 on the detector, and we'll see how we like it. So stay tuned. Okay, so the first step for getting the stock coil off is to open this little panel on the side of the main housing of the body of the SDC. This is where the coil cable from the stock coil actually attaches to the head unit of the detector. So the Coiltek kit comes with a little Allen key. I'm not sure exactly what size this is, but it's probably a fairly common size, I would imagine. And you're just gonna loosen these 2 screws, and you're gonna wanna set those off to the side because you're gonna reuse them. The kit for the Coiltek comes with a replacement plate, because the way that the Coiltek cable attaches, it requires this little cutout for the the collar of the coil to extend out the side of the detector. So you still need these screws. We're just gonna take this little stock MINELAB cover off, and you're gonna tuck that aside for a rainy day in case you ever decide to put the stock coil back on. And that's it. So it looks like those come out. Let's see if we can get this one out. It's there, just get it. There we go. Okay, so there it is. Look at that. Might be good to occasionally take that off because it looks like a little dirt and grime's been getting in there. So as you can see, that is how the factory coil attaches, and they just snake it up in here and then through the center of the shaft. But the new stock coil, or the new Coiltek coil, is going to be coming out about here, because as you can see, the collar on the coil connector is much longer. The next step after we've got that factory cover off is we got to loosen the coil cable connection point here. This thing's on pretty tight, so I'm gonna grab a pair of pliers and gently, because I don't want to pinch it, just initially loosen it. What's going on here? Oh, there we go. All right. So as you can see, it kind of snakes up and then into this little hollow port that then takes it down the center shaft. Okay, once you've got your coil connection disconnected, you're going to start folding up the shaft like you're going to put the SDC away, which when you do that should expose this little lock nut right here. You can take your screwdriver. The adapter kit comes with a screwdriver, but I'm going to use this one instead because it's a little bit larger, less play in it. I don't want to risk stripping this piece out. It's just a little thing of plastic. So you rotate it slightly clockwise. Just got that little cover off, and then this should all just pull out now, like that. This piece will loosen from that. And you can see there's the cable. Okay, now that we've got those two screws off, you've seen the pigtail of the cable, I'm gonna go back up here where the port is, and I'm gonna slowly start trying to unwind that twist in the cable. And this is gonna hopefully allow me to get this cable out of here without snagging it or, potentially damaging the wires inside. And see, there it goes. So now I'm just kind of gently pushing it in while I'm feeding it. And this thing's a little tricky. There we go. And it just popped down. And now it should just get some pressure on it, come right out. Bingo, bango, bongo. There's your stock coil. The reverse of that would be problematic, but fortunately, the Coiltek kit comes with this little chain dongle thing, which I would imagine you kind of feed using gravity down through here, and then you can use it almost like an electrician's snake to pull the coil back up. Okay, guys, well, I'm going to do this again. I had filmed this, or I thought I was filming it, and I wasn't. So I'm going to just give you the gist of it, which is actually probably the preferred breakdown anyways. So stock coil comes out, you remove that plate, or I should say this plate, and you pull the coil out, then you insert this Coiltek adapter piece, and it just slides right in. It should be nice and snug, but it shouldn't be difficult to get in. And then there is a replacement plate that they give you. Now, if you can see here, the replacement plate has this little like channel, L-shaped channel right here that it needs to sit in. And then on the underside of the plate, there's where the screws are, there's actually some raised collars that are circular, and they need to sit inside of the holes in the carbon fiber SDC shaft. So this was kind of a pain in the butt. It shouldn't have been, but because these are mass-produced thermoform plastic pieces, the tolerances aren't very good. So I basically set the plate on, started feeding the screws, and as I would start to get a little resistance because the collars didn't want to seat right, I would take my hammer and then just gently start tapping it until they went into their little homes. So that's it. From this point forward, it's pretty much just taking the coil. You're gonna put it on. Oh, let's not forget about these either. Don't lose these, right? These are the rubber washers that insert into the mounting spot for the coil. And if you lose these or these pop out, your coil will not stay taut. It will just go up and down and you'll be very upset. So make sure to put those in, don't lose them. And then from there, you basically just mount the coil and wrap it around the shaft like you would normally, attach to your port, and then put the aftermarket plate cover that they give you on. All right, so I'm just putting my last rubber grommet washer thing in there. And at this point, I'm ready to start putting the coil on. So I'm gonna loosen the bolt, the little plastic bolt nut, wing nut that it comes with. I'm gonna sit my SDC upright. And let's see, obviously the Coiltek logo should be the top of the coil. So I'm gonna line that up, put that in there. Pop my little plastic bolt through and tighten it up with the plastic wing nut. I'm really excited to use this thing tomorrow. This ground that I've worked before has good gold, but I believe that the majority of the targets left at this spot are going to be just below what the standard SDC stock coil is going to give you detection on. The area has been hammered to high heaven with the SDC, and I think that if you're going to continue to pull any gold out of this place, you're going to have to do it with either something like this, increased depth with a new coil, or maybe like a GPX 6000 or a GPZ or something like that, maybe the Garrett Axiom, but we don't like Garrett, Mountaineer Matt. So here we go. So yeah, you're gonna wind it. You wanna make sure you don't have too much play in it. Obviously you need to give it a little bit because the cable needs to have some slack in case you're adjusting the coil. Wrap it around. Pretty happy with that. And let's see, make sure it's got like a little tab in there, and that tab lines up kind of facing down. So I just need to make sure that I get that in there correctly because I want all the pins to match. And it looks like I got it. Wait a second. This work. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's it. There we go. All right, and then just gonna start feeding that bad boy in and tightening it. Yeah, there we go. And you gotta be careful when you're threading in the new cable, just because you could strip it if you try to force it. It should hand tighten relatively easy, and if it's not, then you obviously have it cross-threaded and you need to retry. So that's it. I should probably take a Q-tip and clean in there because it's a little dirty, but then the plate cover that they give you just goes back over here. And looks like should just sit just like that. And then they give you use those factory screws again, and that's it. There it is, guys. That is one beautiful MINELAB SDC 2300 with the new Coiltek 14x9 Gold Extreme coil on it. Overall, this process was fairly easy. 15-20 minutes to get the stock coil out and the new coil on with the adapter kit. Moving forward in the future, when I want to swap out for the other 2 coils that I got from Coiltek, maybe a 5-minute process. Take those 2 screws out, pop the plate cover off, disconnect the cable, and just throw it on. For those of you who don't know, I'm an authorized dealer for both MINELAB and Coiltek. So if you're interested in getting an SDC 2300 for yourself, feel free to contact me through my website, heritagegoldrush.com, and see what I can do for you on a new machine, a new toy. And then the Coiltek stuff, like I said, I can get that for you as well. So if you already have an SDC and you're maybe interested in upgrading it, giving it some new capabilities, increased depth, increased sensitivity, reach out to me. Let's see what we can do for you. And then in addition to that, one last thing to make mention of is I am an authorized dealer for Doc's Detecting. Doc offers a wide array of different products for MINELAB and Garrett. A lot of covers, which I highly recommend. You're investing a lot of money in these things, and it makes sense to, spend a couple extra bucks to protect it and keep it nice and shiny. They make some other products as well, some aftermarket shafts, not so much for the SDC, but for the Gold Monster and the GPX, some of the other MINELAB machines with the more traditional style shaft. They also make a new product called the Swing Arm Guide Assist, which is a rod that attaches to your shaft on the SDC, Garrett Axiom, GPX 6000, and it really makes swinging that coil a lot easier, especially when you start getting into these bigger coils like that. But stay tuned, because like I said, I'm going to be doing some footage tomorrow up at my spot, hoping to find some gold with the new coil and give you guys a better idea of how this Coiltek coil really works. Good morning, guys. Brother Chad and I have made it. We had to fjord across the river. That was cold, suffice it to say. It's windy, but we're alive and we're warmed up and ready to go. Chad's rocking the Gold Monster today with the bigger coil. I've got the new Coiltek 14x9 on there. And we're looking forward to a good day of some detecting. Hopefully we find some gold. This area is known for gold. And somebody, I think this is Tim, left his scoop on the hillside. I found that. So if that's yours, Tim, feel free to shoot me a message and I'll get it back to you. How was that water, Chad? What did you think about crossing that?
That was spicy.
It was breathtaking, wasn't it? Okay, guys. That was a process. I've been using the 14x9 Coiltek coil here for the last hour and a half. I knew because it was going to be a bigger coil that it would have less sensitivity. I wasn't sure if that would be ideal in this area, because most of the targets that we found out here are, a third of a gram or something like that. But I just dug this target. It was clear, but not very loud. And it was probably, now I'm looking at my hole, 5-6 inches deep. And this is what I just found. So let me show you the hole, and then I'll show you the piece that I just found. Okay, so I'm just kind of up in the duff, swinging, and I get this signal. That's probably the most distinguishable signal that I've gotten in a second. And it was right here. And here's my scoop for reference. So about the height of my scoop, probably up to the middle of the word Garrett. And I got the target, and I think it was maybe just about a 1/4 inch off of where the bottom of the hole is. And here's the piece. Look at that shiny Coiltek, baby. First time out with the Coiltek, and did not disappoint. Let's see if we can find some more shiny, guys. All right, we're on to the next target, and this one was not a piece of gold, but a cool find nonetheless. An old button. It's very rusty and corroded, so I don't know if I'll be able to clean it up to expose what the writing says, but a couple buddies of mine in the past have found old Levi's buttons and rivets, usually from the 1920s, 30s Depression era time when the old timers came back and reworked the areas from the 1800s. So we'll throw that in the jar. Cool find. On to the next target. Okay, I actually haven't moved, and this is a perfect example of why you should always check your holes once you've removed the target, because there was another target. Look at that. A way cool button. And it's still got some of the ornate circular pattern on it. It's not very corroded at all. That's a nice button. Really cool. Nice find. So somebody lost a piece of their pants somewhere around here. Okay guys, in trying to give you guys a better idea of the capabilities of this new coil, the 14x9 Coiltek, I just got a pretty good sounding target. It wasn't absolutely screaming, but it wasn't faint. It was very distinguishable, and I just dug it. It was about here, which I would say is maybe 5 inches or so, and it was a 22 bullet. So whatever the weight of a 22 bullet is, like, I don't know, I think they're somewhere in the 30 to 40 grain. It picked that up no problem at about 5, maybe 6 inches through the duff. Well, it is lunchtime. As Mountaineer Matt would say, I'm gonna eat a Cliff Bar. I'm already eating a Cliff Bar. So I got that one piece of gold so far, and then I found probably about 4 or 5 other pieces of lead. So the gold's here. You just gotta swing over it. I'm gonna take a break, drink some water, eat some food, and then probably got 3.5 hours left of detecting to do. Chad's over there somewhere. And boy, it is just an absolutely beautiful day on the hill up here in the heart of the Sierras. As you can see, the wind has been blowing all day, and despite the wind chill, it's actually quite peaceful. All right, so we just spent the last hour clearing this whole hillside of packed rock and hand stack that the old timers had put here on this ridge. And we moved this big boulder. There was a really big rock right here, and I got a faint target underneath it. And I've finally been chasing it around. I got it in the scoop, so we're gonna see what we found. Uh-oh. Hi guys, welcome to the Heritage Gold Rush, and today we're digging targets. We just found this little piece of lead. We thought it was gold. Our hopes got really high, and we're a little disappointed, but hey, that's part of the process. You live, you learn, you dig some more. Here we go. Thanks for watching, guys. So Chad just got himself a real good target with the gold monster. It's pinging even with the discrimination on the straight gold side. And chances are it could very well be a nice piece of gold, because he is in line with where several other people have found gold before. Oh no. And it was a piece of hot rock. With gold?
Had to get in a little bit of panning. And a little second test right here. We got a little piece of gold.
Look at that. Yeah. End of the day. said, we're done detecting. Let's just poke around for a second. And true to his form, Chad did some punching, a little poking. Found himself a nice little piece of gold. Look at that. Good job, Chad. That was like his third pan.
Second pan.
We got to go now, Chad.
Right, let's go.
Where's that hole at, bro?
Getting my pants just a little bit. All right. And all right, it is the end of the day, guys. It's about dark. Just got across the river. We're headed back up to the car, and we're on our way to Taco Tree. So I'll give you the final weigh up and some afterthoughts on the new Coiltek coil when I get back to the house. Stay tuned.
Okay, so it's the next day. Thought I'd give everyone a little feedback on the new 14x9 Coiltek coil that I was running yesterday, and show everybody the final weigh up for the one piece that I did find. So something worth noting, which I mentioned earlier in my video, was that when you swap out for a larger coil, you're going to be sacrificing a little bit of sensitivity for the increase in depth. And this definitely held true for the 14x9 coil from Coiltek that I was running. I did find that I was getting signals on targets that were much deeper than the stock 8-inch coil would normally pick up. But I think if you're looking to find pieces that are like sub third of a gram, you're gonna have some difficulty. As you'll see here in a second, this piece is about a 0.1516, and the coil was picking it up at 6-7 inches deep. That's actually really good. I was kind of surprised. I didn't think that that coil would be picking up that small of a piece at that kind of depth. But I would say that it was a very faint to intermediate sounding target. It wasn't very loud. I mean, it was definitely a distinguishable tone, break in the threshold, but it wasn't like screaming. So if you're expecting to take this coil out to an area where you're finding, 1/10 of a gram size pieces, you're probably going to be skipping over a lot of signals, because I don't think the larger coil would really hear it. Another thing worth noting is that when the target was in the ground, and this held true for multiple targets when I was digging them, when the target was in the ground, you get a signal, it sounds clear, distinguishable, repeatable, right? But once you extracted the target and got it onto your little push pile where, you kind of isolate the target and try to get it in your scoop, the detector was having a much harder time pinpointing and picking up the target, which is kind of odd, because you would think if it was picking up the target at depth, it would have no problem picking up the target shallow. It wasn't that it wasn't hearing the target, it's just that it actually got a little bit fainter, even though the target was now closer to the coil. And in many cases, I had to pretty much be scraping the coil over the target directly to get it to give me a clear, distinguishable signal, so that I knew that it was right in this little area that I could pick up with my scoop. I don't know if that is just something that is part of having a larger coil, or if that's special to Coiltek coils in general. It was just something that I noticed. Now, obviously, this piece of gold that I found is very small. This thing weighs 0.16, so I wasn't expecting that coil to really find that anyways. That was kind of surprising that it picked up something that small, but it was definitely noticeable. Trying to find the target once it was out of the hole was challenging. So just keep that in mind. I think this coil is a good coil. It definitely did what it's advertised to do, but it's probably not the ideal coil for a situation when you're going to be finding smaller pieces, 1/4 gram or less. I think it could probably find 1/3 of a gram up, no problem. Like I said, it found this piece. It wasn't the loudest target, but it was definitely distinguishable. So just keep that in mind. They offered the two other coils. The next one I'm going to be trying out is the 10x5, which is the smaller coil. Obviously, that's a trade-off for depth for increased sensitivity. That would be the ideal coil for working creeks and riverbeds and tight little areas like that. But overall, you know, the coil worked great. I would recommend it to other people. If you're trying to increase the depth and maybe you've got an area where there's larger targets and you're really trying to see if you can draw those out, especially beyond what the normal 8-inch stock coil would do for you, highly recommend. So let's take a look at the gold and we'll call it a day. So here's the piece from yesterday. 0.16. It's actually kind of amazing when you think about it that coil, especially considering that it's running off of an SDC. It's not a GPX 6000 or a GBZ or an Axiom. You could put that coil on your SDC and you could be picking up, you know, essentially 1/8 of a gram at 7 inches deep. And it wasn't like a whisper, it was a definite distinguishable target. So, you know, if you're looking to add that kind of capability to your SDC, I would highly recommend getting the Coiltek coils. And especially with those two other options available for the SDC, once you get that adapter kit in, you've got a lot of variability. You can swap for the smaller coil for those fine, tight little spaces, for the increased sensitivity. You can go to the 11-inch round. You can go over to the 14x9 like I was running yesterday. There's a lot of options out there. So if anybody's interested, like I said, I'm an authorized dealer for Coiltek. Feel free to reach out to me through my website, heritagegoldrush.com. Thanks for watching.